All right, everybody, welcome back. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. That is Mike Vick. I am Dave Anderson. This is week 4, the Gaming Society Football Edition. We got Mike back in his normal setting. We're pretty proud of that. You know, we had to offer him some
Down in
a
Virginia.
free couple rounds of golf.
Yeah,
You know,
it
his
was,
background is looking more and more spruced up. I see some Falcon stuff. I got 2 photos of football and some soccer cleats. What do you got behind you, these Matt? I see some framed
I
pictures. What do
mean,
you got?
I got, obviously, man, shout out to the great one, Kobe Bryant. And then I got, DM. That wasn't by design. Somebody sent me that box right there. Shout out the bump box. And then, a little VT. And I won this celebrity shootout, mid-pen celebrity shootout, golf championship, 2-man shootout trophy. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to have my accolades behind me.
I did an article for the New York Times back in the day called "In the Pocket" with Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. That's what's over there, and then there's some like really nerdy math behind me about biomechanics.
Yeah,
I gotta get my setup pretty. I gotta get some.
And then that ball, like what's that ball hanging on right there? What's that?
These are some old cleats. These are some cleats
yeah,
I have
like
made.
In the corner of the wall.
Do you remember Skybox, the old trading cards?
Yeah, I remember Skybox.
We had tried to do a partner. We tried to do a partnership with them, and we painted some cleats, and that was a failed attempt. So, I'm cleaning it up. It's I'll get there.
We'll see how you progress over the season.
Like neither of us were around when the jersey exchange was going on. Did you ever pick up a real really interesting piece of memorabilia over the course of your career? Like I have a Pro Bowl jersey of Andre's, which Andre Johnson's, which I was pretty proud about. But
I think I got a I don't know. I think
you don't really collect stuff from other football players.
I think I got Drew Brees' Pro Bowl jersey or something. Got it framed up though.
Yeah.
Down in Virginia.
See, that's always the thing is like people always ask me that. I was like, well, you never really collected things of other football players, and like I never went into like a baseball locker room and grabbed something. But we'll have to pull out like our most interesting.
Let's do that.
Pieces of memorabilia one of these days.
Let's do
that. I think I got some good ones that'll show up. But this is right, week 4. Buccaneers at Patriots. Tell me what are your first thoughts? You had one of these type of games where you had a homecoming game in a city that you were well known. What's going through emotion? This is not a game like any other. Break it down for me.
Yeah, they can say what they want to say, but they want to get at each other. Talking about the teams, Tom. I won't just say it's a Brady Belichick thing because that's unfair to them. I mean, they both competitors, and who knows what happened, when they split apart. But I do know as a player, when you return home, you want to beat that team. In 2011, I was with Philadelphia, and we went back to Atlanta, and I had them on the ropes, and I wanted them. I ended up leaving the game with a concussion. I just wanted to win.
Yeah.
So that's a natural emotion. It's normal. And I expect fireworks. I expect Tom to be on point, especially after the week he had or they had, because I don't think Tom played bad. It was a total team effort with the loss to the Rams, but I expect them to play better, especially against New England on the road.
And walk me through the work week, and maybe did your coaches? Do you think the Bruce Arians is trying to put in maybe a special play here or there to try to razzle dazzle a little bit? Is maybe he's going to be like, hey, we're going to keep it simple? Is there going to be walk me through what you think this work week's going to be like for Tom Brady. It's got to be a little different, I imagine.
I think Tom and that offense, they got a normal work week. Scotty Miller's out indefinitely, and then Antonio Brown, who knows if he comes back from COVID. But they need help on the defensive side of the ball. They got no pressure last week. Pierre Paul wasn't out there. Dominic Sue didn't show up. And on the back end in the secondary, they just couldn't cover the Rams, whether it was the Rams or it was just bad coverage all across the board by the Bucs. Some things got to change this week. So I think a lot of emphasis got to be on the defense getting better. The offense, they're going to score points, and they're going to be okay with Tom at the helm.
I saw a lot of plays that I think were frustrating. Like, I know you're a big fan of D-Jack, and watching him run wide open reminded me of him playing with you when he's about
No
30
doubt.
yards open running down the field. And
Yes.
it's almost frustrating to see as a receiver sometimes because I was like, A, that never happened to me. I was always
Right.
like, I was never I was never that wide open. But I think
Yeah.
you always prepare for those routes, right? He came over he was bending in. He faked like he was going to bend in against that quarter safety. The quarter safety took a half a step, and Deshaun knew exactly what he had to
Yeah.
do. Just took off over his head. But those are the plays that you think as the Bucks defense they're going to rep in and out. They know that they
Yeah.
got corners down. They know how Deshaun Jackson and this team's going to attack them, and they just didn't seem disciplined on the back end, which I thought was really frustrating. And if Belichick sees that, you know he's going to exploit it in a lot of different ways. And that's what I think is intriguing about this matchup and where these numbers are going to lie.
Yeah, well, obviously, Mac Jones got to see it, and they got to have some talent on the New England Patriots to be able to run that route. Everybody can't do what Deshaun Jackson can do,
No.
so let's not take credit away from him
Sure.
running that in and up, whatever they call that route, that near safety, like you said. He was scared. He took off running like he played a post,
Yeah.
in cut or something. Like I was confused, but that's Sean
Yeah.
McVay seeing that, recognizing that, and putting Deshaun in a position where he can, exploit that part of the field.
Yeah, it's they did a good job scheming them up, and if anyone's gonna scheme up, it's the Patriots. And
Yeah.
the best part to know is how the public feels about this matchup is to look at the line. Who do you think is favored going into this game? You obviously have a Buccaneers team coming off a loss. You have a Patriots team that
The
obviously
Bucks.
coming off some easy, right? So Bucks are favored 5.5. Right, a 5.5 point. We always talk about this. Your line's got to be at 7. Your line in the sand is at 7. It'll be interesting to see if this game creeps up as the weekend comes along. So one thing that we haven't talked a lot about is how these lines move with bets. Right. So Vegas's job is to put the line right in the middle, because if they have, let's just say, $100 below and $100 above the line, they take their cut and they win. They just give the losing money to the winners, and they're fine. So
Okay.
what happens is if a bunch of money comes in on the Bucks at -5.5, they got to move that line up to try to get more money on the other side. So these lines are always moving, and it's Vegas trying to incentivize other people to bet on the other side.
Okay, that's like a manipulation process.
That's exactly what they do.
I'm trying to learn this, so I'm following you. And
Exactly.
to our viewers, they trying to learn, and they probably following you better than me. But that's why I love being on this platform, because
Yeah,
learn how to
well,
bet.
because here's what's going to happen, right? We're looking, it's 5.5. You might look right before the game. You might see this on whatever, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You might see that the line move to 6, 6.5, 7, or it might move down to 5, 4.5, and 4. And so you might think that this is dated or whatever, but like that's where this line is at right now, 5.5. And depending on who's taking bets is where it's going to move. Who do you like at 5.5? Do you think that means Buccaneers basically still got to win by a touchdown? Do you think they can beat the Patriots by a touchdown in New England?
Hands down, I think they win by a touchdown, maybe more. I like New England's defense, but I don't think they're capable of stopping the Bucks offense, and I don't think that the Bucks defense is going to play that as bad as they played against the Rams, especially this week. That'll be 2 weeks in a row. That's monotonous. No.
Here's what I'm doing. Because last week we agreed and we both got our teeth kicked in. I think this is going to come down to one of these quarterbacks 2-minute drill, last game heroics, similar to what Rodgers did here. I'm thinking it's going to be Bucks are down a field goal with a minute 8 seconds left. Brady's got one timeout. He's going to drive down the field, score a touchdown. They're going to win by 4. They're not going to cover, but the Bucks are going to win because either Tom Brady goes down and scores or the Bucks show up on defense. So I'm going to take New England on this side. I don't think the Bucks are going to win by more than a touchdown.
So you're taking New England to cover?
I'm taking New England to cover. And you're taking the Bucks to cover. You're taking the Bucks to cover. You're taking the spread. We're betting on the spread. Opening point total is 49. 49. So that's 24-25, basically, right? So that's about a 4 touchdown apiece game.
gonna be a
I
low
think
scoring game.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game too, but I hate betting on unders because you have to watch the entire game. So I'm going to go the over, and I'm going New England to score, New England to cover. What do you got on the point spread here?
So you going over? You think they're gonna score more than
I
49?
think they're going to score more than 49 points.
Both teams combined.
Both teams combined.
I'm taking the under. I see.
All right, we're on both sides.
I see like a 28-13,
Yeah, yeah.
24-7.
Okay, I'm with that. And you know what?
HBO 24/7. Showtime.
You know what's fun about this is last week we went through the game props with the Bucks and the Rams, and we were just rapid fire. So I want to do that again because I think sometimes when we talk about and do analysis, I think I talk you into things, you talk me out of things. Because I almost wanted to go with the over with you or the under with you after listening to you, but I'm gonna stick with my bet, and I want to see some game props. All right, so we're gonna do what I like is the race first. The race to 10 points. Who do you think is going to score 10 points first? Patriots or Bucks?
Bucks.
Ooh. Okay, so then are you gonna stick with that in the race to 20 points?
Yes.
Bucks. Okay. First field goal. Who's going to kick the first field goal? The Patriots or the Bucks?
Patriots.
Here's another one. Total field goals made. How many total field goals are going to be made in this game? Over or under 3.5?
Over, because New England, they're going to get a lot of field goals. They're going to get a lot of field goals. They'll get 3, and I see the Bucks kicking 2. That's 5 total field goals.
Is it going to be we got this one right, actually, last week. Are we going to go a New England touchdown field goal or safety, or a Buccaneers touchdown field goal or safety?
All right, let's go Buccaneers touchdown.
Buccaneers touchdown.
Buccaneers open up.
I'm going to go New England field goal.
First.
All right, we're writing this down. New England field goal.
You got New England coming out and taking the lead.
And we got over 3. We said over 3.5 field goals, right?
Right. Correct.
Over 3.5 field goals. These are the bets we're gonna put. Mike and I got to get an account. Unfortunately, I don't think either of us are in cities where you can gamble, but we're gonna find a guy. Now, let's not forget Tom Brady, 68 yards behind Drew Brees for the most passing yards in NFL history. That is an amazing feat. That was crazy to watch a couple of years ago as they went back and forth, or last year as they went back and forth for the total. Does he break this in the first quarter, you think? You think he throws 68 yards in the first quarter?
Yes, because they're going to go out throwing. I don't think they're going to try to run the ball versus the Patriots. I think they're going to try to come out and chuck it.
There's no reason for them to stop the game. Are they going to stop the game for this, you think? Like after
I thought about that.
Did they do that?
You know, the ceremony, it might not take place.
I don't think so,
This might not be the time for it. Nah, they might flash something on the scoreboard or something, but I don't think they're going to pay homage.
Maybe they do. So. I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I don't.
Because that's a good bet.
Yeah, are they do they, remember when Drew Brees broke it and they gave him that Microsoft Word piece of paper? Congratulations.
Maybe like, man, you never know what's in store.
All right. Well, you know what? We had to get it in for the Buccaneers Patriots. I am excited to watch that. I'm glad it's on Sunday Night Football.
Me too.
That is always out here on the West Coast. It's always Sunday Night Football starts at 5, so it's glorious. We get to watch the whole game.
Right.
You East Coasters struggle with that, but it will be a fun game to watch. As much as I hated Brady throughout my career, you always got to respect the man when he was beating up on you. I think I was just jealous that I wasn't one of his little white receivers. I never
got to play against Brady.
Yeah, we got the piss beaten out of us a couple of times. My first catch actually was against the Patriots.
Okay. What kind of route? What kind
2006 under route.
All right.
One cat. You want to know a fun stat here, Mike Vick?
Yeah, give it to me.
I should put this up here. You know who led the NFL in yards per catch in 2006?
You.
One catch, 26 yards. But what I always say
Boom.
is, why didn't they throw me the ball more? Like,
That's
if,
what I'm
if this
saying,
guy
like-
gets one ball for 26, why don't you feed him the rock at least two, three? And it's not
and
even
don't
that
get
they
another
didn't.
ball for the
They
rest of
didn't
the year?
target me the rest of the year.
Wow. Somebody got
Right?
hurt and they just threw you in?
No, they had an empty package for me.
Okay.
This is we're gonna I'm gonna hijack this part of the story or the podcast here. This is Eric Molds. It gets picked up by the
I
Texans.
remember Eric Moles.
Right, so it's Eric Molds. It's an empty package. It's Andre, Eric Molds, Kevin Walter, and myself. So we went four wide. I of course had the whole play memorized because it was like a play for me.
Right.
I was finally out wide and I was running under route and that was pretty much like the target. It was David Carr was our quarterback. Right, so David Carr calls the play and Eric Molds looks at me and he goes, "Do you remember what this is?" And I only knew what I had. I didn't remember what Eric Molds had. And he's like, "Damn, I forgot what it is." And I look at him and he's inside and he's supposed to run this. He's supposed to do, for the love of the game, a clear out seam, and he just jumps off. He jumps off sides.
What?
Because he couldn't remember the play, and he would rather get yelled at for jumping off sides than for botching the play.
Right.
A serious vet move that
Savvy
had
move.
never.
Savvy move.
And then we
Savvy
come back
move.
to the huddle, and he's like, "Oh, now I remember." And they called the play again, and then I end up getting us a first down, and I was like, unbelievable! The guy jumped off sides because he didn't remember the play. Super savvy move. He's playing
zebra under.
I came in as the Y.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it was
The Y
we
empty.
flipped it and it was out, the zebra and the Y were outside, the X and the Z were in, and we ran like a flood concept to the right and an under concept over here.
Okay,
and
nice.
Shout out to
Matt Shop.
That was David Carr. That was David Carr.
Oh, that's right.
David Carr breaking Mike
Yeah,
Vrabel's thing. So anyway, shout out to 2006 NFL leader in yards per catch, David Anderson. But that is a long shot guess. You had that, and that is for our segment this week on the Betting Academy, the long shot. Pretty well known what a long shot is, right? It's a common term used in sports. And so I don't have to tell you exactly what the long shot means, but it's some serious odds are against them. But now you understand when the odds are against them. But a way to kind of do the long shot is also not just like they're a long shot for this current game, but further out, right? So now we're talking about two combinations: a futures bet, what's going to happen in the future, and a long shot, meaning who do you think has some not the favorite, but long shot type odds to win the Super Bowl. So what teams have caught your eye over these first couple weeks of the season that you think, hey, you got $100, this might be an interesting team to bet on because if they're going to get hot and win, they got a chance.
That's a long shot.
Who's your long shot? Obviously the Bucks are not a long shot. The Chiefs are not a long shot.
Chiefs, Rams, no. I would have to say right now, the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, wow.
Long shot. I mean, but I don't know, man. It's just something
I like
about
that.
them. Like
You know what?
Wild card. They make the wild card. They don't win a division, but they get in as a wild card and they beat a team and beat a team, and you get that bravado
Plus
and that motion.
6,500. If you want to listen to Mike Vick, plus 6,500. You put $100 down on the Panthers to win the Super Bowl, you win 6,500. That's a hell of a bet. Mine, not like it really matters. I'm on the LA Chargers. We talked about them a couple weeks ago. I still think they're playing well. They're about half of the long shot. We were talking about 3,500, but I really like kind of the way those guys have been playing. But I am with you, Carolina. You know what? They played well. They compete. I like Matt Rule. You're right. And so I think they got a chance. They're doing some interesting stuff. Getting into our primetime picks, which we always really kind of dig down and look into, like the real storylines, because Thursday night football is always tough.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We got the Jaguars versus the Bengals. I haven't really watched a lot of Jaguars football, to be honest. I've been reading more about the Urban Meyer debacle more than I've seen them play.
It's not a lot going on.
I did watch the Bengals. I don't know how you feel about either of these teams, but this is a Thursday night football matchup. I feel like early in the year, the NFL has to pick these Thursday night games. It's a crapshoot. It's going to be a really good game or it's going to be a bad game. You don't know if these are
Yeah.
1-2 teams or 3-0 teams, right? It's not like they can cherry pick these at the end like they do at the end of the year. But Jaguars versus Bengals, an interesting matchup. Not two teams you see play each other a lot. But I'm curious what you think about these two teams.
Well, it's good that this matchup is on Thursday night early in the season when both teams could be 1-2 or 0-3, and it's like somebody need to win. So it's like some excitement. So there was some thought put into this week 4 matchup. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Very intriguing. You're looking at the guy in Trevor Lawrence who needs to get his first win, and you're looking at Joe Burrow who's, getting better each and every week and is starting to get his feet wet in terms of big game situations and situational football. So I think they got a lot to play for. For the Bengals, they could be, I think, 2-2 if they win.
I think so.
And that's a good start. And then the fact that they just beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got a lot to play for and a lot to be confident about and proud about. But the Jaguars got a lot to play for, too. We get to see Trevor Lawrence showcase his talents early in the season. Week 4, it's time to get a win. It's time to get a win. Like I always say this, I seen Matt Ryan, Ben Roethlisberger, and Joe Flacco go to the playoffs in their first seasons. I know Trevor Lawrence don't have that type of support cast, but you still can be efficient and win some games. So it's laid out for him this week, I say that. So it's a good matchup.
You know what's interesting that you bring up is situational football, and that always worries about me about like these guys that come from these colleges that beat the piss out of everyone every week, right? They don't have a lot of situational football. Now your counter to that would be like, hey, they played in the national championship, and there was obviously some situational football going on against Alabama, but that's one game, and the amount of emotion and prepared. Like Urban Meyer said it, the NFL is like playing Alabama every week, right? Yeah. Like it's going to come down to a couple plays, and if you're not extremely disciplined, you're going to get your butt beat. And I think not only Trevor Lawrence learning the NFL situational football, but it seems like Urban Meyer's trying to learn a little bit of the situational football, and that trickles down, right? And the confidence that your coach has in not reacting to what happened in the past, right? Not being like, okay, now this is what we're going to practice, because every week it's going to be something different. And so I think you're right. Joe Burrow seems like he's got that confidence. You know what? He's been in an overtime game and won against the Vikings already, so he's got some of this experience on how to handle these situations. This puts Cincinnati -6.5. There's that spread again, not quite 7. They're almost a touchdown favorite, and even in a smaller total than this Bucks Patriots game, 47, right? So less than 7 total touchdowns is what everyone's thinking about Thursday night football. My gut tells me is Thursday night footballs are always really low scoring or it's really high scoring. I don't feel like they're one or the other, and so I feel like Vegas kind of split the middle on us. But I do like Cincinnati to cover here. I do think they're a touchdown better in Jacksonville. I'm a little stuck on the point total because I don't know how many points Jacksonville is going to be able to score, but I'm curious where you're at in terms of who you like in this game.
Point total wise, I like the under.
Another under.
I like the under. I think it's going to be low scoring. 2 teams coming off tough week 3s, especially for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And I think it was a hard-fought battle with the Bengals and versus Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So, I like let me get this right and let me say this right. I like the Bengals to cover the spread. I like the Bengals to cover the spread on 6.
Exactly right.
So I do think they win
6.5, which doesn't matter. We just got to say Bengals a cover. Now you're going to shorthand it next week. You're going to say Bengals a cover.
Bengals a cover.
Bengals a cover. That's my 6.5. So yeah, you're right. Thursday night football. Both of us like the Bengals a cover. Once again, Mike and I are split on the total. I'm going to go over. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to actually show up a little bit, throw some touchdowns. I think Jacksonville is going to come out. But I also like Burrows. I also have Jamar Chase in our fantasy league, so I need him to score a bunch of points. So I'm gonna keep banking on him. or one of my fantasy leagues. I don't know about this one. We're going to get to our
Makes
fantasy
sense.
in a little bit. Don't you worry. And then our other primetime game, which I am really excited to see. If you would, when I was looking at the primetime schedule and saw this Monday Night Football game at the beginning of the year, Raiders versus Chargers, wasn't too jacked up.
Right.
But now the Raiders versus Chargers game, you have a 3-0 Raiders team, which they did everything they could to lose a couple weeks ago in that overtime debacle where they didn't score, and then they hut-hutted the defense on the 1 yard line, which is the biggest bonehead mistake in all of football. You never hut the defense on the one, and then they back it up and don't score, then end up scoring and winning. But the Raiders versus the Chargers, a very good football team. Curious what you think about this AFC West matchup.
I like it, man. I think it's a great matchup. Justin Herbert is playing some good football. The Las Vegas Raiders team in its entirety, they all got beginner's luck. You look at the last 3 weeks. You look at the last three, not beginner's luck, I'm sorry.
But
Vegas
something
luck.
like that.
They got Vegas
luck.
That's what I meant to say. They got Vegas luck.
Yep.
You know, games are coming down to the last minute, overtime. That's, I think, 2 weeks of overtime. You know, so they getting their money's worth, and they earning their money. I do think it's one of the best matchups of this week, and the most intriguing. So whoever come out of this, if the Las Vegas Raiders start out 4-0, you got to give a lot of credit to John Gruden.
Yeah,
a lot of credit to John Gruden, and then you know for the Chargers, if they win. Obviously, I think the defense got to step up, but at the same time, Justin Herbert is the guy who makes that ship go.
You know what's been interesting to watch the Raiders is the way that they, like, Darren Waller is obviously their best player on offense and one of the best weapons in the NFL as a tight end.
And Ruggs is really good too.
A tough matchup, but all these other guys have kind of showed up. And the one thing I think Gruden does a good job of is putting his players in a position to be successful. Right? He's not going to ask Ruggs to do something he can't. He's not asking Waller to be someone he's not. And he's only going to find out more and more what those guys are capable of, which is why I always liked him being David Carr's coach. I thought David Carr was a good quarterback. Obviously got paid a couple of years ago. He could throw it. I thought a little bit. I thought his pocket presence always worried me a little bit. He thought he was more athletic than he was at times, but I feel like Gruden's kind of like honed him in and told him, hey, this is how we're going to make this read. This got to come out. The ball's got to come out. If you knew Gruden was going to preach one thing, it's the ball's got to come out. I'm really liking what they've been doing over there. But like I said, on my pick, my long shot to win the Super Bowl is the Chargers. I am not. Let me be first to say, I live in Los Angeles, but I am not a Los Angeles Chargers fan. Like, I'm more of a Rams guy. McVay was with me on the Redskins. I have no allegiance to the Rams. I'm sorry, to the Chargers out here in Los Angeles. But I like the way they're playing football. I really like Mike Williams.
Good.
Really like Mike Williams.
Asante Samuel Jr. and Derwin James in the back end. They got the defense playing lights out.
I think
you know playing lights out.
You know what's interesting, and maybe we should touch on this, is that like the Buccaneers are getting toasted on the back end because they don't have corners. I think for a while the league focused so much on the ability to pressure guys up front that they spent all their money on defensive linemen, and rightfully so, to rush the quarterback and disrupt. Yeah. But I think you still can't discount good corners and good safeties.
I mean,
like
look at
those
the Dallas
guys.
Cowboys.
Yeah,
look at
those
the Dallas
guys.
Cowboys. They got guys who can rush the passer now, and they got guys who can cover on the back end. Last year, they just had guys who can rush the passer, no cover corners. I mean, now they come together and you get a different brand of defense.
So not even the Vegas Raiders are getting any Vegas love here. They're the underdog in according to Vegas. Chargers -3.5. Point total 52. Interesting thing about 3.5 that I always think is you immediately think field goal or better, right? Those 3s, those 7s, those 10s. But I always feel like it's really hard to pick if a team's going to win by a field goal. Because to me, that just means it's the last drive. When you're up by a touchdown, when you're a touchdown favorite, that means at any point in the game, you're up by 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Like if you're a 3.5-point favorite, it just means this is going to come down to the last drive, and so like that's what I think is interesting. So I guess I'll shoot it over to you. Chargers minus the 3.5. Do you agree? Do you like it?
I don't agree with that. Honestly, I think the Chargers win.
Yeah, they're favored 3.5. So how much are they going to win?
So
by?
they favored 3.5. So I say they win by a touchdown.
So you like them to cover?
I like them to cover.
Chargers to cover.
And I like the over on points. It's gonna be a high scoring game.
This one we're gonna agree on. So this one we're both on the same side here. Minus 3.5 the Chargers. I'm with you on that one. I think they win this game by. I think they might win by this game by 10. I like the way they've been playing. I think the Raiders are, just like you mentioned, everyone's betting on black. They're getting lucky out there in Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas luck.
They're getting some Vegas luck. I don't think the LA Chargers are going to let them off the hook. I like the way the Chargers have been playing. Every little mini article I read out here in Los Angeles talks about the Chargers' amount of confidence, the amount that they believe in their coach. You know what I mean? And how their coach is such a good communicator, how much that means. And if we think that they're going to win by that much, they're definitely going to cover the total. So those are our prime time picks. Let's get to the most important part about this show. I don't know if you saw the recent tweet, Mike, but Dave Anderson, this guy right here, is number 1 in the fantasy football league that we have.
Oh man, I got
number 1.
Last week, man.
Paul Pierce.
Congratulations.
Paul Pierce took you to the cleaners.
I lost to Paul Pierce. He
beat the brakes off of you.
Football. Now this is my first year in fantasy football.
It's Paul Pierce's first year in fantasy football. It
don't matter. It's Paul Pierce. He's like one of the greatest basketball players ever. And I shouldn't be losing in fantasy to Paul Pierce. But I love Paul. That's my brother. It's all good.
You got whooped. Not only that, let's just remember that Paul struggled to even sign up for this for the league, and you got whooped by Paul Pierce.
Paul was struggling to get signed on and signed in.
But he has managed to get out of the 4 weeks. He's gotten like the manager of the week all the weeks. His team is killing it.
Paul doing his thing, and I can't front. He is lighting our league up.
He is leading in the point total. He did lose 1 week, so but he lost on a high scoring week, so he is in second place. Ray Lewis and Dave Anderson are tied at the top, but because my name is alphabetically before Ray's, I put myself on the top of that list. But I also defeated Marissa Coleman, who stopped by last week and bet me a bottle of tequila. So I put my address in the thing. Whoever wants to ship that over for Marissa. What was the bottle? The Casa Azul, the white bottle Azul. with the lovely blue flowers. I'm excited about that. Best manager, high score once again, Paul Pierce. Below expectation, Marissa. She just really stunk it up. And I hand her over to you, Vic. Marissa, you have Marissa this week. I got Chelsea Gray. We're taking on the WNBA superstars this week. It's we got to show up. You need a victory. You're 1-2. You can quickly get at. You can quickly.
Early in the game.
But don't forget, there's 4 less weeks in, or 3 less weeks in fantasy than there is in normal football, because you have to play a playoff and Super Bowl. You don't get to use your players for playoffs and Super Bowl.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you got to get going. So it's like a college season.
All right. So all right. So I got to make the playoffs.
And let me tell you this: I got receivers galore. I got receivers
galore. We allowed to make trades?
Oh yeah, you could do trade. We could do trades right here. We could be commissioners. Who do you?
First of all, our producer, he owed me a player.
You did.
He owed me a player. I remember him saying that he was going to trade me Devontae Adams for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I do remember that. He's
producing this, so he's seeing this firsthand.
I do remember that.
Honor your trade, man.
I do remember that. Well, I think someone messed up the draft, and you accidentally took Jonathan Taylor over Devonta Adams. You made it clear on the thing, and I think Marissa actually stole him from you. You just got.
Yeah, well, this is my first time playing fantasy. I probably could have beat Paul this week.
Well, let me tell you, you got to get on the You got to get on the waiver wire, right? So go on the waiver wire. Here's what you need to do. Early in the week, right, you got to pay attention to who was injured, so who's going to start. No one's really on the waiver wire in this league. So you got to get on the waiver wire, pick up one of these running backs that are going to get some more snaps. Sermon for the 49ers, Trevor Sermon, I think he's still out there. You might want to pick up him. They're just some good guys. But if you want to make a trade, I got nothing but receivers. I need a running back. So if you want to get rid of Jonathan Taylor, I might have a guy for you because my running backs are garbage. When receivers are carrying me, I have Mike Williams on my team. I picked him up late. That was one of my sleeper picks, and so I'm excited about that. But yeah, this has been.
I'll be in touch.
I'll tell you what, the thread on our league, we need to take some screenshots, and as the league goes on, we need to show the people how much crap Paul Pierce is talking to people. I think you got on there. We got Ray on there every now and then. That's right. There's a Gaming Society Football Edition. That's Mike Vick. I'm Dave Anderson. Fantasy football recapping all your favorite games in the NFL. We're excited to see you. We're excited to hear from you. We're out.
Go get that money.
Make sure to sign up and subscribe at thegamingsociety.com and hit that follow button at The Gaming Society on all social platforms.